We anticipate in the next 10 to 12 years, approximately 8 to 6 million Hispanics coming into the United States and 41 million Asians. You have been the majority minority for 400 years in this country. You have been the number 2 population for 400 years. You're gonna get kicked out of being number 2, you're gonna go down and become number 4. Now, common sense, even a 3rd grade education would tell you, if you didn't get anything when you were number 2, you all jumped ahead of me, but anyway, you can guess what you're gonna get when you become number 4.
President Biden, do you support reparations?
Well, I mean, since I haven't spoken on this, got a chance. Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent. The people who come here have determination, resilience. They are ready to stand up and work like the devil. We have 24 out of 100 children in our school today is Hispanic. The idea that we are going to walk away and not provide every opportunity for them is not only stupid and immoral, but it's bad for America. They are the future of America.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest. Which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. And this is what we are faced with. And this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
We are owed $104 trillion on the very low end, plus $735 billion recurring. This number does not include the cost of about 50 Black Wall Streets that were decimated, nor compound interest from 2017 when Sean D. Rochester's book, The Black Tax, was published, nor the cost of Black life, nor the cost of living increases, nor the war on drugs, nor the current day pandemic. The number I'm working with is for slavery, Jim Crow, and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their lives.
Afternoon on the West Coast. Good afternoon in the mountain. Good afternoon in the central. Good afternoon on the East Coast. You know exactly who it is, family. Angela Nirvana, your hostess with the mostest on the Reparationist Perspective, bringing you those Friedman hot topics and making the case for reparations, making the case for weaponizing our vote, socializing our suffering, and today, family, it's more of the puckery, fam. What can I tell you? I'm leaning in on all of the puckery because somebody's got to. Somebody's got to tell the TR roof. Somebody's got to tell it like a TI is. Today's topic is the Demorats' answer to the Repugnican'S Clarence Thomas in the name of Kentanji Brown Jackson. Now, many of you already know she's married to a whole zaddy, which is, oh, by the way, the only kind of black that old Biden, the author of the 94 crime bill, segregationist in chief, Strom Thurmond's eulogist, Strom Thurmond's protege, is really interested in putting into high position. You see, they're counting on us to be as stupid as we were to fall for the Kenyan white Barack Obama. They're counting on us to keep that same energy to our own people's peril. They're counting on us, not me, to continue going to these polls, sheep walking to these polls, to vote blue no matter damn who. That is what they're counting on, and it is my mission to decimate the Democratic Party for the oppressive boot they only have on the necks of freedmen. We are the only group they give their asses to kiss on a regular basis. All of this PICKIN symbolism designed to ethno-genocide us up out this piece. I see you, U.S. Atlantic Creole Nation. How you doing? Ebony Roses, #2. I see you, fam. And for those of you I cannot see, welcome to the live. I am so sick of folks trying to make the very overt Trump more of a racist than Biden. Trump didn't have all these atrocities leveled at freedmen to extinct us akin to Jim Crow Joe. He had these borders on lockdown. Let's get into it. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications if you feel so compelled. Bless the broadcast. I'm going to jump right in. I'm just going to show you better than I can tell you. Yes, I'm hotter than fish grease. In case you're wondering.
So unless he had killed all blacks, you wouldn't think it would be racially motivated.
That's my interpretation, yes, sir.
As for the Lockheed Company documents detailing Williams' racial slurs and death threats, the sheriff at first denied knowing anything about them.
Sorry, guys. Let me back it up.
Within minutes of this phone call, 6 people inside a Lockheed Martin aircraft plant in Meridian, Mississippi would be dead. Many had feared this day was coming.
We got a shooting at Lockheed in the industrial park northeast. Please hurry. Okay, ma'am, they're on the way.
A police videotape retraced the killer's steps through the plant, where horrified workers had begged to be saved.
Tell me where the man is that's doing the shooting. We don't know. Okay, he was on the production floor. We understand that he's laying, but that is the last thing I know. What do we got now?
As he moved along the plant floor, where workers build U.S. military jet aircraft, the killer seemed to know who he was looking for.
He had a list, and he called his list the good niggers and the bad niggers.
What was he wearing? I don't know. Okay, do you know who it is? Yes, his name is Doug Williams.
The name was no surprise to many at the plant. Doug Williams, a longtime Lockheed employee, who for more than a year made no secret that he was preparing for a race war.
Did Mr. Williams ever say to you that he was going to kill, and excuse me, I've got to say it this way, some black mother? Yes. And did you report that to anybody at management? Yes, I did.
At the age of 48, Williams was outraged when black workers at the plant complained about his racial slurs or got better paying jobs. Williams' computer login was white power.
He said, you know, one of these old days, I'm gonna come in here and kill up me a bunch of niggas, then I'm gonna kill myself.
What happened that day at the Lockheed plant was soon forgotten by the rest of the country, quickly described by the Lockheed Company as just another tragic, senseless workplace shooting.
But an investigation by Primetime Live, along with documents the Lockheed Company tried to keep secret, reveals there is much more to it than that. It is a story of open racism, ugly slurs, violent threats, at a plant owned by the country's largest defense contractor.
I can't imagine a hate crime that had more forewarning than this one did.
Bill Blair is a lawyer for the family of one of Williams' victims, now suing Lockheed.
Lockheed is responsible for maintaining a workplace where people aren't threatened with death and called nigger.
The final straw for Williams was in this room, where he had been called to a diversity and ethics training class and was seated next to certain black workers. He stormed out. Some white employees say a supervisor then warned them to beware of Williams.
He said, if Doug leaves at lunch, he said, I want you to go home. And I said, why? He says, well, I'm afraid of what he might do.
But Williams didn't wait for lunch. He only had to go as far as his pickup truck in the parking lot to get his guns, which were already loaded and ready. Williams then headed straight back to the classroom.
He came in the door and he was saying something to the effect, I got y'all right here.
Charles Scott and Al Collier were at the same table with Williams and saw him return fully armed.
We had shotgun in his hand, rifle on his back, bullets draped down both sides of him.
The first shot was fired at Mickey Fitzgerald, who in an act of courage stood up to calm Williams and was the first to be killed.
Just point blank shot him in the head.
Collier, Scott, and the others then hit the floor.
He was coming around, that's when he looked and he said, that four right there. He said, that four right there. Like he was shooting some kind of animal or something.
4 black workers, including Lockheed veteran Sam Cockrell, who Williams believed had turned him in for wearing what looked like a Ku Klux Klan hood at the plant.
And it was up.
Scott says Williams used the booty of a protective suit as a white hood, what Williams called a joke.
I'm from the South, and everybody that I know what that signified.
It wasn't funny to you.
It wasn't funny.
Williams wore his white hood most of that day until a manager told him to take it off or go home. He went home, apparently furious at Cockrell.
It's obvious that Mr. Williams hated blacks who wouldn't, quote, stay in their place. And he perceived that Sam was one of those blacks.
Please hurry, we've got people, I think they're dead. Okay.
Back in the classroom, after killing Sam Cockrell, Williams moved to the other black workers cowering on the floor, including Charles Scott.
He came and he aimed at you.
I was laying on the floor. He came over to me and shot me while I was on the floor.
The next victim, Delois Bailey, a longtime Lockheed employee, active in trying to get more blacks hired at the plant, which was 70% white. She was shot by Williams as she tried to run from the room.
He didn't just turn and shoot her. He poked the gun into her stomach and he pulled the trigger. That's how he did that.
Al Collier took a shotgun blast in the back, but still tried to do something to stop Williams.
He was about the closest from me to you. He blew off. He blew off both of my fingers.
Williams was far from through.
He's still in the building, as far as we know right now. How many people been shot? I don't know, I'm running.
He skipped the management offices and headed for the production floor. Lynette McCall, a grandmother and 20-year veteran of Lockheed, was next. Williams knew she too had complained about him, and her husband Bobby says she knew this day would come. She had even increased her life insurance policy.
It got to the point where she started preparing me for her death, telling me what she wanted me to do, and if this man kills me, don't forget that we got an account here and we got an account there.
And it's clear Lockheed knew it had a problem with Williams. The Lockheed documents we obtained, which were left out of the sheriff's public investigation report until we asked about them, show Lynette McCall was one of several employees who had detailed Williams' death threats. "You're on my list too," he had told her. All described to a Lockheed executive from regional headquarters, a year and a half before the shooting.
And she said, they just don't care. They just don't care.
Williams found Lynette McCall at her workstation.
He's standing there and he's taunting her with this gun. He's not just shooting her like he did other people. He got to talk to her. He got to call her different names. And
What did he say to you?
I was told that he called, didn't I tell you I'm going to kill you, bitch? And things like that. And I was told that she was begging him not to do it. And then finally he just did it, you know. But he wanted her to suffer before he did it. And that's something that's very difficult for me to live with. Very difficult.
Finally, there were 2 more people, 2 more black workers who would be killed. C.J. Charlie Miller, a part-time pastor at the Baptist Church, and Thomas Willis, another of the employees who stood up to Williams.
He wouldn't stay in his place to suit some racist ranting and raving. He just wouldn't do it.
According to the Lockheed documents, Willis also detailed Williams' slurs and threats and demanded Lockheed enforce its zero-tolerance policy, which calls for dismissal for serious violations. But Williams kept his job, required only to attend 2 after-work sessions for anger management.
So have you gone?
I did.
Thank you.
The union steward, Pete Threet, says he tried to use Williams' own twisted reasoning to get him to drop his plan.
they're going to put you in the pen with all those men, and you wind up being the sex slave of a big black man by the name of Jerome. And he made the statement, no, they won't ever catch me, because if I kill a bunch of these folks, I'm going to kill myself.
And that's just what he did. After killing the last of his 6 victims, Doug Williams then killed himself on the plant floor of a company that says it does not tolerate racial hostility.
He didn't just shoot, randomly shoot. He went around and shot us how he wanted to shoot us, where he wanted to shoot us.
But when we return...
Well, family, let me get into a little bit more of that. I pray that you guys can pray with me. I pray that they don't shut this video down because I showed so many minutes of that primetime report from ABC. I wanted to get more into it and read from this point forward. Let me just give you a little bit more of this backstory, because this is tied to the overarching reason why I believe we need to shut the Democratic Party down. I believe that segregationist in chief Jim Crow Joe is more abominable than even Donald Trump. His hate for us it's just been full court press since he's been in office. And I'm working up to make the case as to why Kentanji Brown Jackson is a black-faced white oppressor that's not going to do us any good when it comes to the Supreme Court. She might as well be a conservative when you hear what she did on the heels of what I just showed you. So on the day of the shooting, let me just put up another visual for you all. Hold on. Welcome to the live. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Hi, Nikki. Hi, Danielle. Good to see you guys. This is atrocious, and I need for us to wake up and smell the tea leaves and understand that the Democrats are the Demorats are the Dixiecrats. And they have no love for us, especially the Biden administration. This is Armageddon. With this Supreme Court pick, it is Armageddon for our people. Stand by. Let me share a visual while I go into this. Okay, just give me a second, family. Hold on. I want to share that headline so you can understand and understand where I'm headed with this. Just a second. Let me go back. Okay. On the day of the shooting, let me just tell you guys when this was, actually. Wow, my baby's birthday in 2003. A year before my baby's birthday. Oh, my God. The Lockheed Martin shooting occurred on July 8, 2003 at the Lockheed Martin plant in Meridian, Mississippi. The gunman Douglas Williams, an assembly line worker at the plant, shot 14 of his co-workers with a shotgun, killing 6 of them before committing suicide. After the shooting, information surfaced depicting Williams' history of making threats and racist comments directed at African-American co-workers. 5 of the 6 killed in the incident were Black. The incident was the deadliest workplace shooting in the United States since December 2000, when Michael McDermott killed 7 co-workers at Edgewater Technology in Wakefield, Massachusetts. Given the nature of the attack and Williams' long-known history of racially motivated threatening behavior, the incident was described by some at the time as the worst hate crime against African Americans since the Civil Rights Movement. Stick a pin in it. This was in 2003. That's only 18 years ago. On the day of the shooting, Williams attended a mandatory ethics and diversity class together with 13 others. According to some colleagues, Williams arrived at the plant in a very agitated state and made threats to kill other co-workers. Me speaking. Doesn't this sound like what happened recently with that mass shooter whose parents are now standing trial because they gave him a weapon and the school said the Demorats was in there painting pictures of murdering people and they refused to come and get his ass, and then he started spraying everybody up in the high school. So here this Mickey Vicky is threatening black folks on a regular basis. So much so, as you saw in the video I just shared, that the woman took out extra life insurance policy on her. This Lockheed is a government contracted company. This is government. This is government. The very government, the very Biden administration, 87% of our electorate went in there to put into the White House. Lockheed Martin is run by government contract. This is a government contractor. And they are complaining, and the woman is telling her husband she doesn't feel good about this racist. Her greatest fear came upon her. She took out extra life insurance policy, and the black folks continue to work for Lockheed Martin under the threats of this glacier donkey. This is a defense contractor where black folks had to go and just take their fears of never returning home with them on a regular basis because the upper management wouldn't do shite about it. Let me move on before my child calls. So on the day of the shooting, this maggot attended a mandatory ethics and diversity class together with 13 others. According to some colleagues, Williams arrived at the plant in a very agitated state and made threats to kill other workers. Why wasn't his ass fired? This wasn't brand new. He'd been making threats. Others who said they talked to him prior to the shooting stated that he gave no indications that anything was wrong. How can you come in there in an agitated state and make threats to kill other workers, and yet you say the Mickey Vicky gave no indication that anything was wrong? You can't have it both ways. Williams only stayed at the meeting for a few minutes. And as you saw in the video, you saw management wanting the white folks to go home early because he believes this fool is going to do something to the people, to the blacks, after lunch. So this white manager knew he was coming up in there to annihilate black people and warned the white folks that you might not want to come home. You might not want to come back to work. You may want to go home on your lunch break. But he gave no indications that anything was wrong. This Mickey Vicky maggot only stayed at the meeting for a few minutes after having a normal conversation with his colleague, Al Collier, who described it as friendly little talk. Friendly little talk? I'm gonna kill you is friendly little talk? William subtly stormed out of the room saying, y'all can handle this, telling his supervisor, Jeff McWilliams, that he would take the matters into his own hands. Williams went to retrieve several guns from his pickup truck. At approximately 9:30 in the morning, Williams entered the room yelling, I told y'all to stop effing with me. Didn't I tell y'all not to F with me? And began shooting. He first killed Mickey Fitzgerald, who tried to calm him down with a shot in the face before turning his attention toward a group of 4 workers on the floor. Williams killed Sam Cockrell, who he believed had made complaints about him to the management. He wounded Al Collier, who was shot in the back and right hand. He also wounded Charles Scott and fatally wounded Delois Bailey when she tried to flee. Steve Cobb, the plant manager, as well as Brad Bynum, Chuck McReynolds, and Brenda DuBose whose head and hand were grazed by bullet fragments, were also wounded by ricochet. Williams then went out of the room, but returned after a short while and searching and calling for Jack Johns, the production manager, continued shooting. Williams eventually left the annex and headed for the main factory, searching for other employees who had reported him to the management for making racist threats. But this Mickey Thicky kept his job. All these black folks complaining about his racist glacier donkey ass. They had to come to work in terror while Lockheed did nothing about it. He is now able to come up in there with assault rifles and execute any black person he felt ran his racist motherfucking ass to management. There he was apprehended by his colleague Pete Threat, who tried to take away his gun, but Williams pushed him out of the way, lowered the shotgun with the words, "Get out of my way or I'll kill you too," and moved on. While Threat tried to make the others aware of the gunman screaming for people to take cover, Williams walked through the plant and shot 5 other people, most of them at point-blank range. He killed Charles J. Miller, Thomas Willis, and Lynette McCall at their workstations and wounded Henry Odom and Randy Wright before his girlfriend and co-worker, Shirley J. Price, began pleading with him to stop shooting. Williams then committed suicide in front of her by shooting himself in the torso. His rampage had lasted approximately 10 minutes. 3 more weapons were later found in his car by police: a 22 Magnum Derringer, a 45 caliber Ruger P90 pistol, and a 22 caliber rifle with a scope. And yet, welcome to the live. Yes, I'm the angry black woman. Yes, I'm hotter than fish grease. Biden faces conflicting pressure. As he closes in on a Supreme Court nominee, the first black federal judge in Alabama, U.W. Clement, urged the president not to choose appeals judge Kentanji Brown Jackson. Here's why. President Joe Biden is facing conflicting pressure from Demorats and advocates as he closes in on a Supreme Court nominee to replace the retiring Justice Stephen Breyer. He's already chosen her. Let me tell you why it's problematic. Senate Demorats, who hold a wafer-thin majority, are pressuring him to move quickly as he prepares for interviews with a small group of finalists that could begin as early as next week. So he didn't have to choose this biatch, okay? The first black federal judge in Alabama, U.W. Clement, sent a letter to Biden on February 4 urging him not to consider appeals judge Kentanji Brown Jackson for the Supreme Court, according to a copy obtained by NBC News. Clement, a retired chief judge of the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Alabama, argued there are several exceptionally well qualified black female aspirants, but that Jackson isn't one of them and should not be appointed to the court. The letter comes as the process for selecting a candidate is getting underway, and as the behind-the-scenes campaign by the contenders, their supporters, and their detractors is in full swing. I don't believe she exemplifies the justice the black community deserves, Clement said in a brief telephone interview. He pointed to one case she presided over, Ross v. Lockheed, a 2016 class action suit on behalf of 5,500 Black workers of Lockheed Martin. At the time, she declined to approve a settlement that was reached, which could have provided $22 million and reforms related to the promotion process at Lockheed. She refused to approve the $22 million settlement because, in her view, there were no common factual questions, Clement wrote. Clement, who retired from the court in 2009, is listed as a counsel at the firm Mary and Scallett, which argued on the losing side of the Ross v. Lockheed case. They had the $22 million within their reach. Family, Kentanji Brown Jackson shut it down with her black, white supremacist, zaddy loving, zaddy sleeping, mammy ass. Other rulings by Jackson have drawn praise from progressives as labor-friendly. Jackson's judicial assistant did not immediately return a request for comment. The White House defended Jackson. Of course, it's a STROM thermos boy. Following Clement's criticism, calling her a deeply qualified individual who has built an extraordinary record through hard work and a life of service, from serving as a public defender to a judge. It's because of Judge Jackson's experience and roles at all levels of the justice system, her character and her legal brilliance, that President Jim Crow segregationist Biden nominated her to the D.C. Circuit Court, after which she earned her third Senate confirmation, and he's very proud of that decision, said Deputy Press Secretary Andrew Bates in a statement officially confirming for the first time that Jackson is under consideration. Meanwhile, progressives have raised alarms about Judge J. Michelle Childs, another candidate under consideration by Biden, who is supported by House Majority Whip Jim Coon Clyburn, and has also received praise from Senator Lindsey Graham. If these two are endorsing everybody, run the opposite direction. Progressive has cited her work as a corporate lawyer, blah, 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 blah. And let me tell you what the sellout, white-funded NAACP said. They commend the nomination of D.C. native Judge Kentanji Brown Jackson to the U.S. Supreme Court as what? Black girl magic. The NAACP DC branch commends the nomination of Judge Kentanji Brown Jackson to the U.S. Supreme Court. President Biden has nominated Judge Kentanji Brown Jackson to serve as the first Black woman on the U.S. Supreme Court. Since 1789, 115 justices have served on the U.S. Supreme Court of the United States, but only 3 have been people of color and 5 have been women. In the history of this country, not one has been a Black woman. I don't think that this Black white supremacist zaddy mammy loving zaddy lover, I don't believe she's Black. Rumor has it that she migrates from Jamaica. Of course, they are wiping everything clean. You can't find evidence to support none of where these people herald from, since the Reparations movement has been awakened to flat Blackness and are now demanding all throughout the country that Blackness be disaggregated so that we can clearly see the failure of this racist-ass government against those of us who descend from U.S. chattel slavery, whose ancestors built the wealth these white glacier donkey Mickey Fickies killed and stole, and are now giving away our reparations to everyone while telling us no, starting with Barack Obama, no less. Now he puts this biatch on the Supreme Court, a hot damn conservative disguised in liberal clothing, who robbed these people of a $22 million settlement that had been reached with Lockheed. Now should be on the Supreme Court to help out the conservatives in decisions concerning Freedman life. The Supreme Court decides critical cases determining voting rights, economic justice. What does that mean for our reparations at the federal level with this biatch on the Supreme Court, who clearly hates us? Equal educational opportunity, reproductive rights, environmental justice, consumer rights, and criminal justice. How do we win with this level of a pick from Biden? How do we win on any of these affronts with a woman who clearly saw a history of racism reported by the blacks who were traumatized on a regular by this deputized glacier donkey? If you could deny them $22 million for the execution of their loved ones by this demon, what more atrocities will we see with her as sitting on the Supreme Court until she dies or steps down? I'm going to come over real quick. I'm at 337. See what y'all got to say about it. I am hotter than fish grease if you cannot tell. Hold on. Yes, it's unbelievable, darling. You got that right. Just give me a second. Hold on, y'all. I'm so sick of the anti-Freedman hate. I am sick of the bullshit. Hold on, y'all. I want her face up here while I talk about her ace. Oh, Lord, today. I'm coming to read your comments before I read my vote. Let Dr. Claude Anderson support my voting strategy and pray us out. Just give me a second. I'm trying to make sure y'all can see what I want y'all to see. Let me make sure her face is here so I can target her ass. Okay. Let me see what y'all got to say. Oh, Lord. Give me strength. Ebony says, privilege. He had it and he abused it. No, killed others, race soldiers. Absolutely, Ebony Roses. Yes, Nikki, it is unfreaking believable that of all the people, this is Jim Crow segregationist Joe's pick for the Supreme Court. For me, what he's trying to do is put a nail in the coffin of our reparations fight. This is what he's doing. So that when these white folks try the one-drop rule to become $5 freedmen and they sue class action, you see, that's why we got to do this based on lineage. If and when this gets to the Supreme Court, it'll be stacked against us with people to deny us again. That's what Jim Crow segregationist Joe just did to our chances with reparations. Made it increasingly harder, as if Barack Obama's no hasn't made this uphill battle intense enough. His no to reparations gives these Mickey Fickies the license to ethno-genocide us right up out this piece. Ebony Roses says, I just don't know, but we may have a little tool. I'm working on it. Sis, if you got a tool, please email me at thereprospect@gmail.com. I'll put it here. You got something you're working on. I work with quite a few grassroots throughout the country. I would love to know about it and help promote it. Okay, so let me go now. I'll stop sharing this. And I'm going to share with Dr. Claude. This is why we need a voter strategy, family. This is exactly why we need a Freedmen voter strategy. These Mickey Fickies, who he's given our reparations to, are going to these polls during midterm to try to save their racist asses. Here's Dr. Claude Anderson in support of my Freedmen voter strategy.
You get to the National Black Party, get to the National Black Party, and 3, that you don't take anything that does not relate to money and resources and opportunities. Civil rights and social integration are divisive things that will split you up and divide you. Stay away from social integration and civil rights. Those things cannot help black folk. They have been taken over now by immigrants coming to this country. That's why they get credit for anything they want in this country by claiming that they're included and that they're equal to black folk. They're not equal to black folk. Black folk only control 1/2 of 1% of anything in this country. That's exactly where you were at the end of slavery in 1863. Get away from that and say, no, we want tangible, measurable things. And you start with right now with Biden. Biden right now got into office because of black folk. He's already said, he and Harris, that they'll never do anything for black folk in terms of reparations and those things. Do not vote for anybody who would not support black folk. I don't care whether it's the highest, lowest offices to the highest offices. Don't do it. And you vote strictly as a block.
So, Dr. Anderson, can I ask you a question about the voting strategy? I'm sorry to jump back in on it, but let me ask you, because you're making a very, very important point that I want to make sure that we highlight. That you said do not vote for anyone who's not in favor of black interests. We right now are pushing a closed border state. We are now pushing closed borders, period, because that is an absolute imminent threat when it comes to our community. And that is our voting strategy as we move forward into the midterm elections and then to the presidential election. How do you feel about the closed border strategy?
I'm totally in favor of it. From the community level to the national level, you set aside your property and make you build your community, and you market and close it. Market and close it, just like the Asians do. They mark Chinatown.
Thank you.
Everybody mark their towns with us. If you go across this country, you can find a little Korea, a little China, a little anything. You can find.
I'm so glad he's still alive and he has to wake up.
So.
There you have it, family. There you have it. Now, let me explain it in detail. For those of you who are new to the strategy, and for those of you who just love the repetition to strengthen your resolve, you have to understand, family, that we were once Repugnicans. We only moved to the Dixiecrats because they were for civil rights. As you see, for a very short period until they could take it back from us, akin to the way Johnson took away our 40 acres and a mule and gave it to white immigrants and white slaveholders alike for 100 plus something odd years under the Homestead Act. And it's morphed into many iterations to the point where white folks and immigrants, well, white folks specifically, share hundreds of trillions of dollars that they killed and stole from us. Okay? They killed and stole from our ancestors' heinous chattel slave labor that built all the wealth these Mickey Thickies eat from. You could just look up any executive order and any bill that has become law and see Biden giving away more of our reparations. More recently, per my broadcast yesterday, he's asked Congress for $6.4 billion for the Ukrainians. And now New York is opening up the state for them to come up in that piece as refugees. And that will be true of the entire country, even though Psaki said they could go to Europe. The same is true of the Afghanistans. They could have gone to Europe. But what we're experiencing now is the whitening of the browning of this country with 3 Ks. And we are on the bottom and in the fight of our lives to prevent from becoming the permanent bottom cast. Now, back in the gap, when we delivered Teddy Roosevelt the White House, he dishonorably discharged 167 Buffalo soldiers who were wrongfully accused of murdering a second white man after being quarantined in their barracks for being wrongfully accused of murdering the first. Hold 1 second, y'all. Hi, Cupcake.
Hey, do you want Samara to take me home?
Sure.
Okay.
Love you. Oh, are you getting something to eat?
I don't know.
Well, I'll come and get you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, y'all, sorry. All these hats. Let me back up my story before I pray us out. So, after we delivered Teddy Roosevelt the White House, he dishonorably discharged 167 Buffalo soldiers who were wrongfully accused of murdering a second white man after being quarantined in their barracks for being accused of murdering the first white man. Dr. Charles Morris, pastor of Abyssinian Church, told Teddy Roosevelt, "You shot us when our guns were empty, and for that we're going to return the same by delivering a blue top of the ticket and a red Congress to protect the Black South." The Republicans were not in support of civil rights. Ultimately, his idea morphed and reimagined the way Freedmen voted. Okay, I'm sorry, distractions all over the place. That changed the way Freedmen voted when the Republicans would not be in support of civil rights, and that's how we became Dixiecrats. But the problem is, we failed to change as the hate for us intensified on the Democratic Party. We allowed 87% of our electors shut up to the polls to vote for the Biden administration, even though they know he eulogized Strom Thurmond, even though they know he was Strom Thurmond's protege, even though they know he was the author of the 94 crime bill, even though he was a devout segregationist, even though he called us names over and over again, even though when asked about reparations, he pivoted to the Hispanics and told us we better go along to get along because we're being replaced. Our people, while in a democratic vote blue no matter damn who trance, delivered Obama in the White House, and as much as we've gotten is Maya Angelou on the back of a slaveholder quarter. And the white and immigrant drug programs have received $30 million under the auspice of a crack epidemic that's really an opioid epidemic, because between Biden and Clinton, our crack addicted and pushers by way of the war on drugs from the CIA are in jail. The rest are dead. So they're weaponizing the crack epidemic to give out crack paraphernalia, opioid, and meth needles and all this kind of stuff. I'll do a show showing you that it's the truth. Brother exposed their asses in a whole video. He's got the little kits. The crack pipes are there, unakin to Saki's lying ass and Jim Crow Joe's lying ass. The crack pipes weren't in the packages. That's a whole nother broadcast. We got Juneteenth, a holiday that we're already celebrating, and a hip-hop month of August, I think. Okay, so this is what's happening after 87% of our electorate showed up to the polls to deliver this level of Mickey Ficky to unseat an overt racist like Trump, who has no policies against freedmen, and showed up, wasn't giving all these immigrant groups the bag. But our people have been conditioned to believe that Trump is more of a racist than this freedman-hating president that y'all went to elect, not me. And so midterms, I am suggesting we give them our whole entire freedman ass to kiss by voting for only closed border candidates, including Marcel Dixon to replace Coon Clyburn, District 6, South Carolina, and Tamara Johnson-Shealy to replace Coon Warnock in Georgia. Thank you, Shanna. Hip Hop Month in November. What's up, Trey? I see you, fam. Ebony says, before I go, exactly, Dr. Anderson has been on this for years, but some people have shut him down because he has active experience. Sis, it is atrocious, because had we moved when Dr. Anderson was reading the tea leaves 40 years ago, I doubt we'd be in the fight of our lives to prevent from becoming the permanent bottom cast. We could have cut this off. We could have closed these borders long ago. But far too many of our people are eating well and have gotten fat and don't give a damn about the 90%. Each one teach one. With that being said, family, I'm done with my rant. I have to go get my child. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever Freedmen and its allies are, God truly is, because family, you are the face of God. You are the voice of God. You are the body temple of the Spirit of the living God. Yes, you are, family. And no one's told you today, know that I love you black and I love you so strong. Yes, I do. Until we meet again tomorrow, I'm bidding you a beautiful God-inspired rest of your evening. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications if you feel so compelled. Bless the broadcast. And until tomorrow, family, I'm sending you a ton of peace, love, and reparations. I'm out.